Greetings of peace and love. Welcome. I'm Reverend Cardona. I'm here with Reverend Lisa Benton. Together, we provide Miracles with a Twist conversations. It's an opportunity for us to dig deep and unpack issues related to A Course in Miracles, the text, the manual for teachers, lessons, principles, as well as questions we may have had that came up during our Miracles with a Twist live stream, which takes place every Thursday. So Thursdays on Facebook at 7 o'clock, we have Miracles with a Twist. And on Tuesday afternoons, we provide content for you and for us to dig deeper around anything that may have been presented during the live stream. And so we begin together by becoming united wherever we are with a nice deep breath. As we exhale, we put our hands on our hearts and press in a little bit so you can feel your heartbeat. And we give thanks for this breath and this heartbeat, which is a reminder of our unity and how we're joined together, how our minds are joined, our hearts are joined, our intentions are joined. All of us are here with the intention of rising higher, praying harder, loving steadily, and forgiving readily as best we can on a daily basis. And on the days when we make mistakes in need of correction, we open ourselves to the guidance that's needed so that we can do the right thing, the next right thing, and to do it better, to do better and be better. So we begin this day today with the intention of following our guidance and remaining on this very sacred path together. And for this and for so much more to come, we give thanks.
Amen.
Amen. Blessed be.
Blessed be. Aho. Ashe.
Aho, Ashe. Goddi Lisa, so good to see you.
Shanti, Shanti.
Shanti, Shanti. You know, we love the interfaith perspective because it allows us to see from different views, to allow our eyes to be open to other perspectives. And it's the way that we believe is the mystic's way, and because of that, we take our lead from spirit. And so, welcome, Goddi Lisa. It's good to see you, and
Good to be here.
Looking forward to the guidance that you have and your perspective as we move forward into the topic for today.
Okay. Well, I cannot believe what has transpired between Thursday and today. That's just a few days, but we have experienced so much. Of course, we started out on Thursday evening with Miracles with a Twist, with a throwback from 2020.
Yes.
But you played a very short clip of Oprah Winfrey and Marianne Williamson speaking, because it was 2 weeks after 9/11. And of course, between Thursday and today, 9/11 has come and gone. So it was quite an intense class. And if anyone's listening and hasn't seen the class, please go to the YouTube channel and check it out, and then come back and listen to us again. But stay with us in the meantime. But because 9/11 was coming, it was on my mind, and probably everybody's mind, that it was coming, as it is, I think, with everyone. And so you had chosen, which I thought was a wonderful choice, chapter 23 of the text, and section 4, paragraph 6. And that is above the battlefield. And what better way to start discussion on what 9/11 has done, is doing, in our lives, in our hearts, in our growth, and maybe in our stepping back. So I'd like to read from chapter 23, paragraph 4, did I say? Yeah, I think it's paragraph 4. Let me just make sure. Please excuse me, my pen is in the wrong place. Okay, here it is. Sorry. It says, what is not loving must be an attack. Now this is above the battleground. What is not loving must be an attack. When temptation to attack rises to make our mind darkened and murderous, remember, you can see the battle from above. And then the next paragraph says, see no one from the battleground, for there you look on him from nowhere. From the battleground is nowhere, from above is everywhere. We can get the whole thing. And that is what brings me to what Marianne Williamson said and what Oprah said. Oprah at first had just said, I should make it clear that the little clip of the video was 2 weeks after the actual 9/11 attack. Right. And we hadn't taken action yet as a country. And so Oprah had just said, would you want your son to go? And someone in the audience said, they need to pay, or they need to be accountable, something like that. And then Marianne Williamson said something really beautiful, which was, absolutely, but what we really need to do is look at it as, what do we want to be, and I'm paraphrasing and using my own words, what do we want as our end game? What is it? Do we want to go to battle? Do we want to look at it from the ground, from this plane, and just look at it, they bombed us, we need to bomb them? Or do we want to rise above and look at it from a heavenly perspective, through the eyes of Christ, Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, whatever you want to call it, from a deep, powerful perspective? And that led me to think about this one lesson that I have had on my phone for I don't know how long. I have my phone. RevLo taught me this. She has her phone go off every hour with little reminders, and I do too. And one of mine that I have just had on there forever is lesson 135, and it is, if I defend myself, I am attacked. And I thought, if ever, that came right to my head. It goes off, 1 hour every day, but it went right off of my head on Thursday evening as I listened to Marianne Williamson. And I'd like to read just a little bit of what Ken Wapnick had to say about this lesson. First of all, this is the longest lesson in the whole book of lessons, the whole volume of lessons. And if you add Ken Wapnick's commentary to it, it's huge. So I'm going to try to keep it brief. But he said, the purpose of defense is to protect us from fear. Yet building a defense reinforces our sense of vulnerability that, along with the perception of danger, justifies our need for defense. What a vicious, vicious cycle. If we are in fear, we will attack, and that attack comes back on us because we are a united and holy sonship, that nothing we do cannot affect anyone. If everything we do affects everything that we do and everything everyone does. So we cannot attack, or we cannot defend without attacking. We cannot attack without defending. And it's a vicious, vicious cycle. And I thought of that was what Marianne Williamson to me was saying. We have this opportunity to look at things from here, black and white, cut and dry, ego-driven, so forth, or from here. Now, how do we get there? Is extremely easy in that we have we change our perception. We ask Spirit to give us the grace to change what we see, to switch our perception of this violent behavior to a perspective of love. Now, I must make it clear that I am not saying in any way, shape, or form that anyone should ever ignore an atrocity, the attack on any human being in any form. What I am saying is that I can bring myself into that environment and blow it up even worse. Yes, absolutely. I could just see if a free-for-all could have very easily rung out in Oprah's studio that day with people saying what we should do, what we shouldn't do, and all that. And all that does is create this more devastating, painful energy that everybody I think in the world was feeling at that time. So if we can just take a breath, take a few breaths, and come from a place of love, that enables us to still deal with the fact that it's reprehensible, it's painful, people are suffering, people have died, people are still suffering from the fallout from it, and will. But we can bring peace into a devastating environment. And to me, that is why I am so grateful for A Course in Miracles, because we have these lessons that do just what this did for me. Because even though it's been 21 years since the attack, my heart breaks. I think of everyone who has been devastated. Sometimes I get angry when I hear comments about it. We all know the difficulties that our country went through with Muslims and people getting the misperception that Muslims were terrorists. And it's looking at things from the position of the battlefield. And the thing is that we have the opportunity to choose our battles. We don't have to battle from the battlefield. We can battle from up here. We can battle with our hearts. And so there is a section 21 on page 120, well, page 123 of Ken Wapnick's commentary. But Jesus says, without defenses, you become a light, which heaven gratefully acknowledges to be its own. And then Ken Wapnick says, when we set aside the ego's need to protect itself, our individuality and specialness, what remains is the light of heaven, which the darkness of our defenses sought to cover. As we remove the veils, the light shines through our awareness to embrace the sonship. And I just thought of another thing when I read that, was that we were experiencing the harvest moon as this came, this beautiful light. We could not, for days, we could not look outside in the middle of the night and have the sky be lightened. And that also reminded me of, we lost the Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning queen in the UK, or maybe even history. And a double rainbow appeared over Buckingham Palace. So these horrible experiences, these sad experiences, amidst the joyfulness of the rainbow and the moon, to me is God's affirmation that we must look at things from above the battlefield, because that's where the light is. That's where it is, above the battlefield. And whatever it takes to grieve, we must never try to woo-woo our way out of grief. Grief is painful. It's real to us that we're feeling, and we need to experience that. But to come from a place of healing and love. Healing and love is what, to me, I have been working on for the past 20 plus years, since we were hit with this terrible, terrible tragedy. So for me, between Thursday and today and all that has happened, I have been so grateful for my repetitive practice of the lessons, several years, same lessons, several years, learning something different. Each time, hearing something I didn't hear before, having them come at an amazing time. Every one comes, this one coming to my head helped me. It helped me to get through this difficult time and to appreciate the moon, appreciate the rainbows, appreciate what Queen Elizabeth has done for us, just appreciate the strength of first responders and so forth, and to mourn the loss of these people, to pray for the perpetrators, families, and how we don't know how that they got there. We know the Course says if you're not expressing love, you're expressing fear. So what their fear was, we will never know. And to focus on that may be somebody's job in politics, but it's not my job as a child of God to judge, but to be a better expression of God and to see through the eyes of Christ. And I really do many times say, Jesus, I don't see it. I don't see what you see. Please do something to help me see this the way you see it. Help me change my perspective. And so this was quite a powerful long weekend from Thursday to Tuesday. That was a long weekend for me, with great love, great sadness, and always a desire for peace.
So thank you for that, Goddi Lisa. I was thinking also about that clip that we played, and Marianne Williamson made the suggestion for a Department of Peace. We have a Department of Justice, and in the Department of Justice, we think warlike. We have warlike basis for that. How are we going to defend and attack or counterattack? And I think that's probably everywhere. Every country in the world has a plan for attack and counterattack. And the idea of having a Department of Peace got me thinking about the Department of Peace within myself. Like, can I have a Department of Peace? Can I be my own Department of Peace?
Wow.
And in doing that, I have to recognize, just like we did as a country, the country was a representative, I believe, of all of us. The way we responded is when things are happening out there far away, we have one way of looking at it. But when it's very personal, then we have a whole different way of looking at it. And A Course in Miracles and all the spiritual paths are reminding us that there really needs to be just one way, not two ways, not you versus me, or what's happening out there versus what's happening in here. And that's the direction that the Course is taking us when it's telling us to look above the battlefield, to remember that I am you. Even if it is not directly affecting me, I have to be able to have the level of self-awareness and compassion that helps me to see you and helps you and I to remember who we are together. But then when it gets really close and it's now you're attacking me, suddenly I see you as an enemy and now I want to attack you. And part of that is, on a personal level, it's like whatever's happening in our psychology and in our histories and our brains, and we might have reactivity. But we also have the opportunity to correct ourselves. We always have this opportunity to stop and say, you know what, I was feeling attacked. I was thinking that I'm attackable and that I'm vulnerable, and now I need to regroup. I need to get balanced. I need to remind myself that you and I just want the same thing. We want love. We want peace. There was that prayer from the Way of Mastery that says the one in front of me wants the same thing that I want.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the one in front of me is acting like a child, or I'm acting like a child. Some people might see you as the Buddha or Mother Teresa, and other people see you as like a crazy lady, or because of the history or the perspective. And so we come back to this. We come back to what it is that I can do in this moment to enter into my own department of peace, and how do I want to respond from that place. Another cameo in the CE edition of A Course in Miracles, which is the Circle of Atonement version, has something called the blue-gray bird. And I believe it's a dream that Helen had that takes place during the Civil War. And this bird appeared blue to the north side and appeared gray to the south side. The soldiers from the north wore blue, and the soldiers from the south were gray. So they were like, oh, that bird's on our side, but the bird was just being a bird. The bird was just flying around, sometimes flying on this side, sometimes flying on this side, not taking sides. And when we don't take sides and we just try to find that middle ground, the Buddhists talk about the middle way. What's the middle way? The middle way is the place of balance, the place of being able to see both sides. And from that place of both sides, responding, not reacting, but responding from our Department of Peace, our own internal Department of Peace. And I wrote an article, and I referred to the article. I wrote it back in, I think it was November of, maybe even September of 2021. Wow. An article called "The World Is in the Mirror," and I talked about how I was getting ready. I had a monthly column called "Embracing Spirit," and I was trying to get my thoughts down. And as I was writing, I generally write longhand first, and then I go back and I put it in on a document. And I remember I was writing, and I looked up, and there was an interview with Osama bin Laden. And I said, and I even put it in the article, you're making it hard for me now, brother. You're making it hard for me to see you as a child of God, because I see you as an attacker. I see you representing the attack. And that was a great reminder right then and there that no matter who it is, no matter what they've done, that I have got to come back to my Department of Peace and respond from that place. So how do I see him as a child of God? Because God sees him as a child of God. And even though, years later when Barack Obama was able to finally put an end to Osama bin Laden's reign, we celebrated that. And I think that it was because we had some sense of relief that we would no longer have to deal with that level of terrorism. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But still remains to be seen. But I would rather that be the relief within myself. And I had to check my own integrity. Am I relieved because all people everywhere, even from Afghanistan to Africa, everything in between, can be now less terrorized, or am I happy because the bully got beaten? And there's a difference in that.
Sure
is. Difference. And I had a personal experience years ago when a friend of mine was having to have the sheriff come to take out a tenant from her home. And he was a roofer, and it just so happened that he was putting a roof up in the house next door. So even though he was leaving her home, he was still making fun of her and bullying her and yelling at her from the rooftop. And at one point he even actually banged into me when he was moving things with his elbow. And just as he did that, her nephew, who's this big, huge man, got out of the car and he threatened him. And I was like, yeah, you threatened the bully, but deep inside I was like, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be rejoicing at the bullying of a bully, because ultimately what I want is peace. I want to come from the Department of Peace. So we have these human reactions, just like a country. We had a reaction. Of course, we were upset. We were devastated. But when we calm down and decide now it's time for me to, settle down and rethink how I'm going to respond, Can that be from a place of peace? Do we have to rejoice at the bullying of a bully? Or can we just wish and hope and pray and serve as stewards of peace, of stewards of God's grace? And, you know, all these examples of things that happen in our lives, you know, and sometimes you're upset with someone and you want somebody else to be upset with that person. It's sure. There's still little microcosm elements that represent the bigger way of life that we continue to live in. And so when the Course is telling us to look up from the battlefield down, it might sound, you know, Pollyanna-ish, but the truth of the matter is that's ultimately how we were all going to find peace, how this world will find peace, how we will bring an end to terrorism. At peace and love, we can heal the world. With peace and love, we can make a new world. And that's the only way. And the fact that we haven't done that is proof that it's not the right way.
Right. We've failed miserably using that tactic.
It hasn't worked yet, you know. No. War has not worked. And we've seen brother against brother many times throughout history, starting with Cain and Abel. And so, you know, the way of war has never brought us to peace. It has put an end to certain things. And, you know, the day will come. The day will come when we don't need to go in that direction. I just don't know if it'll be in the consciousness of this particular lifetime. But I would not stop wanting to be in the mindset of having that. You know, there's people protesting on the streets in different parts of the country because of wrongdoings, or, you know, what are perceived wrongdoings, whether it's by authority, and a lot of times it's because they're protesting authority, you know, and things do change, and people do find that laws change in time. But it doesn't have to be through violence. It has to be through consistency, through consistent messages, for enough people to stand up and say, this is what I believe to be the truth. We believe in the equality of all people and justice for all people. And, you know, we just have to represent that as best we can. And, you know, today, this might sound like a really silly example, but over the weekend, I was using, remember Brillo pads? I was using a Brillo pad.
I use them.
Yeah, I mean,
hands with them last night.
Aren't they amazing though? So I had something on my fence that was very rusted. So I was using the Brillo pad to see if I can get the rust off the spot. And then I put it down. And then today when I was cleaning up, I realized I had left the Brillo pad there, and it rusted itself, and it rusted the area for having been left there. And I thought, isn't that just like us? Isn't that just like us? Like we can serve to cleanse our own minds, and to be a voice for peace, and to be a conduit of cleansing the harshness of our minds, and hopefully the minds of others as a good example. And at the same time, we can also bring out the worst of ourselves, you know. We have rust, and we have beauty and cleanliness as well. All of that is within us, just like the Brillo pad, you know. And so we can decide for ourselves, you know, am I going to be the part of the Brillo pad that brings shine, or am I going to be the part that brings rust? And we have to make that decision.
And we can. We have the ability. It's so easy to do. I remember someone saying, you know, it's really easy to quit smoking. Don't put a cigarette in your mouth. And when you think about it, that's the truth. But as one who smoked for 35 years, yeah, I don't have to put it in my mouth, but I do. And then once it's in there, then I light it, and then I suck it into my lungs. And to me, this is the same thing. It is so right there and ready for us to have that shift in perception, but we have to have the shift in perception. It doesn't mean that light bulbs will always go off perfectly clearly every moment, but it does, and I can speak from experience after experience after experience, it does create the beginning of a calm as opposed to crazy.
Right. And, you know, even if we touch a little bit of crazy at times, I think that part of what we need to understand is that we are ultimately in charge of our own correction. We're in charge, and instead of, you know, so you might say, oh, well, I smoked that cigarette, but Paul handed it to me. You know, it's like, Well, yeah, okay. So now you've had that cigarette, but it's really not Paul's fault. It's really up to you to make that decision about how you're going to do it next time he hands you a cigarette, you know. And I know for myself that so much is learned in retrospect, but it's also in preparation for a way of being.
Yes.
And to continuously come to these commitments. And, we're coming up on the Jewish holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur will be in October. We've got plenty of time to talk about that. But it's such a great reminder about the importance of reflection and celebration, reflection on ourselves, being willing to make our amends, being willing to make our self-correction, and then celebrating life from a place of peace. And so I'm making a commitment to work on developing my own department of peace within myself, and I know that you will too.
I join with you, sister.
Thank you. And I look forward to seeing how much further we're going with this in terms of Miracles with a Twist. We'll talk more on Thursday, and we'll just keep moving forward and unpacking and digging deep, because we're all here to be conduits of love and peace. And when you mentioned the full moon, when we were under the full moon the other night, it was raining, and we all huddled under this little gazebo, and it was so intimate and so beautiful and just so full of love. It's like we weren't going to let the rain. I said a little rain can't stop a lot of love.
That's
and it's
right.
just like life. Sometimes there's rain and there's darkness, but we can't stop that. We don't want to stop that from reminding us that there's light beyond it. And the full moon is I call it a celestial spotlight, that bright light that shows us and gives us the opportunity for us to see, shows us who we really are if we're really willing to look deep. And
it's the literal light in the darkness. It just is, literally.
It truly is. It truly is light in the darkness. So thank you for today. Thank you for being here. Thank you everyone for being here. The opportunity to respond will be through the comment section, as well as the email that I will put under our video for today. So thank you again. And Goddi Lisa, if you could give us a prayer as we end our time together.
Okay. Today I'm going to read a prayer of peace from the Upanishads. So it's been around for a while, not necessarily in English, but this is what it says in English. Lead me from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead me from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead me from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our heart, our world, our universe. Peace, peace, peace.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you. Namaste.
Namaste.
See you all soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.